Hello, welcome to this edition of the News in English on Rwanda Television. My name is Sarah Shinhori. First, the headlines. Rwanda's capital market is exploring ways to attract investors from the rapidly growing Islamic finance industry. Rwanda's Ministry of Gender and Family Promotion is calling for stronger collaboration to protect children against sexual violence. And on the international scene, Russia's Shiveloch volcano has erupted, sending a towering ash plume around 10 kilometers above sea level. Economic experts say consistent tax compliance by citizens and businesses is helping the government of Rwanda maintain subsidies on public transport and fuel, cushioning households from the fuel impact of rising global energy prices. The government says the support measures are aimed to protect citizens from further increases in the cost of living. William Evans Mutawazi with the details.
Passengers traveling on public transport routes across the country said that they are relieved the transport fares have remained stable despite recent increase in fuel prices. By the following morning, we came to take buses and found the prices had not changed, even when the fuel prices had risen. This is a good demonstration of making citizens the priority. We are happy because we thought that an increase in diesel prices would affect our bus fares, but as of now, nothing has changed at all. Transport fares have largely been shielded from sharp increases because the government continues to provide subsidies on both public transportation and fuel products used by the sector. Speaking during a press briefing, Prime Minister, the Right Honorable Dr. Justin Nsengiyumva, said the subsidies are intended to reduce the burden that high fuel prices would otherwise place on ordinary citizens and businesses. The government, therefore, will continue doing everything possible to keep price fluctuations moderate as we continue to monitor the market. Public transport vehicles use a lot of diesel, so the government offers subsidies. For example, from Nyabugogo to Musanze, a passenger would have paid 4,281 Rwandan francs, but with the subsidies, they will pay 3,081 Rwandan francs only, as it has been the case. On this note, I wish to appreciate also the good work done by the public transport companies and operators, and we encourage them to continue offering good services to passengers. Economist John Bosco Kalisa says that such government support is made possible in part by domestic revenue generated through taxes and other public contributions. He argues that strong tax collection gives governments greater flexibility to intervene when global market shocks threaten household incomes and economic stability. Rwanda is still at the top in the region for tax compliance. In general, taxes are almost 17% of the national GDP compared to other countries in the region, where it is around 13 and 14%. We should be grateful to the government for always prioritizing citizens and using our taxes well and building strong economic resilience. Rwanda, like many other countries, has been affected by fluctuations in the international oil markets. Since March this year, diesel prices have experienced the sharpest increase compared to petrol, particularly between April and June. During that period, the retail price of diesel rose from 2,205 Rwandan francs to 2,927 Rwandan francs per litre, while petrol remained unchanged at 2,938 Rwandan francs per litre between April 17th and June 6th, according to fuel price adjustments announced by the Rwanda Utilities Regulatory Authority, RURA. Analysts say that maintaining stable transport fares despite these increases has helped contain inflationary pressure and protect consumers from additional costs that could ripple across the wider economy. William Evans, RwandaTV News.
Rwanda's capital market is exploring ways to attract investors from the rapidly growing Islamic finance industry as authorities seek to diversify sources of capital and position the country as a more competitive investment destination. The Rwanda Stock Exchange says discussions are underway to establish the legal and regulatory framework needed to accommodate Islamic financial products, a sector valued at more than $6 trillion US dollars globally. William Evans continues.
Islamic finance operates under principles that prohibit interest-based lending and instead emphasizes profit and loss sharing between investors and financial institutions. Supporters argue that the model promotes risk sharing and encourages investments backed by real economic activity. Let us assume that we have cultivated and done everything humanly possible, but due to bad weather, we make losses. In Islamic banking, we will not shift the losses to only the client. Losses, just like profits, are shared, which makes the difference with conventional banking. And you do not have to be a Muslim. It is an investment, just like any other, for everyone. The Rwanda Stock Exchange says it is examining how the country can leverage this model to attract capital from investors, particularly from the Middle East and other markets where Islamic finance plays a significant role.
So they have to be Sharia compliant to those products. So like the same way you have investors out there who who only invest in instruments, especially in the Middle East, East Africa. We've had Tanzania, Kenya, people doing that. Uganda is financing their own SGR line. We want to launch that also in Rwanda and to attract that kind of capital from the Middle East, because that capital is looking where to go. With international issues, people are looking into Africa where they can invest. So we have anticipated that as a marketplace so that our economy can benefit from that to the investors and also to the potential issuers out there.
The Rwanda capital market currently accounts for more than 30% of the country's gross domestic product, with approximately 270 investors actively trading securities and around 10 listed institutions. Some entrepreneurs say the market has already provided opportunities to raise capital and expand businesses, while others are exploring future participation. In terms of mobilizing capital, listing your business on the capital market is a good way to achieve this. I am in the process of joining the capital market, and I believe this will help me expand my kids' park business.
This clinic is going to benefit us in different ways. We are going to be able to actually have access to funds. When we have access to funds, now we have a way to actually easily do our projects. The pilot, the research you want to do, boosting the milk yielding, the productivity of cows, the productivity of farming, everything now will become easier because going to pitch in different funders that do not understand the science sector, it's very hard.
This year, Rwanda's capital market marked 15 years of operations. During the period, it has mobilized nearly 3 trillion Rwandan francs to support infrastructure projects and business expansion. The governor of the National Bank of Rwanda, Sulaya Hakuziyaremye, says broadening participation in the capital market remains critical to sustaining long-term economic growth and attracting more international investors.
It has also strengthened Rwanda's reputation as a stable and forward-looking investment destination. As we expand financial literacy and digital access, we must continue to ensure that every Rwandan, especially the youth and the women, can benefit from capital market participation. This requires financial market deepening through encouraging more equity and debt listings, particularly in enabling SMEs to access capital through tailored instruments, while leveraging institutional investors as key drivers of growth. But that's because I personally believe that the Rwanda Stock Exchange is the pillar that will allow Rwanda to become a truly international financial center.
Despite continued uncertainty in the global economy, market regulators say that Rwanda's capital market remains resilient, largely because most of its debt instruments are long-term in nature, reducing exposure to short-term market volatility. William Evans, RTV News.
The Ministry of Gender and Family Promotion is calling for stronger collaboration among Rwandans to prevent and combat sexual violence against children, warning that beyond its devastating impact on victims, the crime also carries significant social and economic costs for the country. William Evans Mutabazi once more.
2 teenage girls from Gisora district, whose names have been changed to protect their identities, are among survivors of sexual violence. Vanessa says she was assaulted at the age of 16, while Yvette experienced similar abuse when she was 17. Both say fear initially prevented them from reporting their abusers, but they eventually came forward and are now relieved that justice was served. I stayed with my neighbors as their child because I used to sleep naked. One night, I woke up in shock finding that the man was raping me. After he threatened that he would kill me if I ever reported him. In that moment, I had nothing to do about this. I lost sleep over that for a long time. I fell in love with a boy and we had sex when I was 17 years old. Sometimes, he would come after we had had a disagreement and forced himself on me. After he was arrested, I feel safer now and I no longer get stressed. Legal experts working with survivors say that pursuing justice in such cases often requires extensive legal, psychological, and social support. Taking care of a child who is a victim of abuse is very expensive. The lowest cost for a lawyer is about 500 Rwandan francs, and taking that as an example, we can say that the entire court case will cost about 1 million, which is very expensive. The Permanent Secretary at the Ministry of Gender and Family Promotion says that sexual violence against children not only causes lasting physical and emotional harm, but also places a heavy burden on public resources needed to support victims and their recovery. For example, we spend half of the ministry's budget on treating survivors, and this does not touch emotional wounds. This means that we spend more than $1 billion each year on treatment only, which slows down our other activities, including awareness campaigns. Officials add that the long-term consequences extend beyond individual victims, affecting families, communities, and ultimately national development. The Rwanda Investigation Bureau says preventing such crimes remains a priority, while those found guilty face severe legal penalties. I want to let you know that cases such as rape and sexual violence against children amount to serious crimes punishable by life imprisonment. These are punishments we do not wish for any Rwandan. Under the Rwandan law, child sexual abuse can carry penalties ranging from lengthy prison sentences to life imprisonment, depending on the circumstances of the offense. According to the Rwanda Investigation Bureau, more than 4,000 cases of child sexual violence were reported during 2024-2025 period. In addition, the Bureau's data shows that girls accounted for 95.6% of the reported victims, while boys represented 4.4%. William Evans, RwandaTV News.
It's the end of the weekend and the start of another week. I hope you'll have a great week ahead of you. I'll be seeing you again soon. Until then, goodbye.